Good morning. Welcome, welcome. I am Dana. This is me on the treadmill walking. Good morning, Laura, Carrot. How are you? Aldous Designs, Shirley, Silly Panda, Quack, Quack Quilts. That's a cute name. Helen Cam, Chris Mal. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hard to believe it's already Thursday and this month is almost over. February is always weird to me because it's a short month. And even though it's only, 1 or 2 days shorter than most months, it goes by really fast. Is that the case for everyone else? To me, it always has seemed that way. And so you're like, wait a minute, it's already going to be March. All right. What is on everyone's mind today? Please read the show notes. And if you have any questions or comments that you want me to share or answer, please put a question mark when you type it in so that it shows up in bold. And all of the stuff in the show notes that are the starred bullets are things to help you learn how to use Whatnot appropriately. They are the official sources that Whatnot provides. And I have in my shop, in my auction tab, a bunch of other documents that you can just go through and screenshot, get what you need. I think one of the hardest things about this app is for new people is just learning the really basic things. It's not really a difficult app to use. In fact, when I started using it first, I felt like it was the easiest app I'd ever used for selling. And I've tried them all. So I felt that way. Maybe it's not that way for everybody else. I felt like it was pretty easy. But you have to learn how to use it. For people who have never resold on other apps, it is a much bigger learning curve just because you don't know kind of the basics of how the postal service works, how, to list things. So it's a bigger learning curve if you've never resold elsewhere. I'm bidding in an online auction on Friday. Lots of fabric. Pickup is an hour and a half from me. Oh, so like an estate auction house. That's cool. So how do they have it set up so that it's in lots? Because I've seen some of those online before. And there's nothing like that close to where I live. So that's cool. So several lots. Cool. Yeah, I've seen some of those before. But I don't bid in the ones that are local pickup if it's too far away because you just don't know. And then there's some that ship, but they don't tell you what the shipping is going to be. And I'm always like, okay, so if I win this, and then they charge me as much as it costs to win the lot or more, it kind of makes it not a very good deal. So I've kind of shied away from some of those. All right, welcome in everybody. Thanks for joining. Please read the show notes. And again, if you have questions or comments you want me to share, please put a question mark on it so I can read it out loud and won't miss it. Hello, old goodies treasures. How are you this morning? Let's see, topics that I wanted to talk about. First of all, if you'll go in to my profile, so just click my name up there at the top and go into my profile and bookmark this show that is scheduled for the 11th. That one. We're going to be talking about show setup and production. And any of you that are already sellers, I would love to have you send me your number one tip of whatever it is you've done in your setup. So, like your lighting, your equipment, the way you set your show up, the way you organize things. What's your number one thing that has made doing shows on Whatnot easier, better? Was there a thing you did to organize or set things up that just really made a big difference? Oh, okay. Sure, Christy. I will check messages. So, if there's something like that, I would love for you to send me a message with that information. And if you have a picture, like if it's equipment or, something that has a visual that could go with it, send me a picture too. And I will, and then tell me if you're okay if I share it. Because what I would love to do in that show is share a lot of different ideas to help people brainstorm what they can do to improve their production process. So, yeah, the 11th of March. And if you're a seller, please send me your number one, or if you want to send more than one, and then you'll get a shout out in that show because I will share who sent me that information if you're okay with me sharing. So send me the info and then tell me if you're okay with me sharing what you said and or pictures. So that's on the 11th. And I'm going to probably send a group or not a group message. I'm going to send messages out to sellers and have some other sellers specifically who may not come to this show because they don't need help to share some of their tips too. So I think that'll be fun because I thought, I can share what I do, but everybody has a different process, a different setup, and I'd rather, give you lots of different ideas than just what I do. So, because what I do may not work for what you need. So, that's kind of what I thought would be helpful. So, if you'll bookmark that show and then send me, whatever it is that you feel like is your best tip for, how you do your shows, your production setup process, and then you'll get a shout out. So, welcome in, everybody. I'm Dana, and this is a seller chat where you can ask questions. And I also just provide information. So, look at the show notes and also look in the shop in the auction tab. All those things are not for sale, they are just informational that you can click through the pictures, screenshot anything that you need that would be helpful. And ask questions, anything you need. Andy is in the house. Welcome in. I just modded you. If you can stick around, don't worry if you can't. Everyone, thanks for being here. Okay, so let me just show you something really quick. If you use a mobile device to run your shows, there's a little arrow above the chat right there. See that little arrow? You can tap that and it expands the chat, and then it gives you a menu. You can change it to just questions. And then if there are any questions, you can see just those. You can also change it to buyers, mods, and muted. So if you didn't know that you could do that, there you go. Nice little tip. I personally like to use my laptop to run the show because I like all the different features you can see on the screen. It's a bigger screen and there's a lot more features on the screen, but a lot of people need to have something more mobile. And so, that's just a little tip of something you can do on there. All right. So, what are your questions? What do you need help with? What are you frustrated about? What things are you trying to do that aren't working or that are working? Also, share things that, have been successful for you, because I love to hear what people love and the success you're having. So, please do that if you have anything you want to share with the chat. So, coming up in April, the Whatnot is going to sponsor a Whatnot Summit. It is for seasoned sellers, but anyone that has been selling, I don't know what their criteria is other than it's not for new sellers, because the content is more about growing your business, taking it to the next level, etc. But if you're a seasoned seller and would like to attend that Whatnot Summit, you can. It's in my auction tab. There's a screenshot, and check your email because you will have gotten an invite to go and look and see if you want to attend. All right, let's see. Where do you get backgrounds for shows? Backgrounds. Do you mean like if you want a specific, like a backdrop, like a photographer might have, that's like a fake scene? Those you can order on Amazon or something. You just look for backdrops. That would be the word you would search. Most people just set something up. So, but you can order something like that. It's just a big vinyl picture. Make sure you check reviews. Make sure that when you zoom in on it, it's not too pixelated and fuzzy so that you can tell it's fake. That makes sense, so that it looks more realistic. Let's see. Maro King, can you and do you recommend having two different Whatnot accounts? One is a seller and one is a buyer. Is that not allowed? No, you can have that. You just can't have multiple seller accounts on the same IP address without permission under your same name. You have to get special permission for that. And do I recommend it? It's up to you. I mean, if you feel like in your category that it's too weird to have you, I mean, I personally don't do that for several reasons. One, it's a hassle because you have to switch accounts back and forth. Two, I'm very transparent. If I'm in people's shows, I don't want people to not know it's me because I'm part of the community. I am who I am, and I don't feel like I need to hide. If I buy something, and people are like, "Oh, she's buying?" Yeah, I'm a buyer too. So it doesn't, I personally don't think it matters, but in some categories, if people get weirded out by it, then maybe you should. I don't know. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Let's see. Andy says, I haven't been able to find an email from Stripe for my 1099 for tax. Do I need to reach out to Whatnot for that? Yeah, probably just send a message to customer service. I think there was a limit that if you didn't make over a certain threshold, they didn't automatically send you one. But I can't remember what that number was. Message me and I can look at mine and see what it says. But also you can just go to Stripe and log in and you might be able to find it that way. I think last year I couldn't find mine either, and I ended up just logging in. But check your junk and spam. It came about the third week of January, I think, is when I got mine. And so check your junk and spam in case it went there, which you probably already done. So anyway, but yeah, it should be there. And double check what email you have set up in there, because maybe the one that you originally had, if you changed it, Stripe might not have gotten updated. So, but it should be in that one. Sierra Face says, I'm having my first show in March selling baby and toddler vintage clothes. I'm stressing about shipping settings. Can you help and explain? Yes. So go into my auction. Well, let me just pin it for you. So this document right here that I just pinned, tap the picture on your screen like that, and then tap it again to make it bigger and take a screenshot of that. And then you can zoom in and read through it. It helps you decide based on what you sell, what shipping settings are probably going to work the best for you. Right now, Whatnot has taken away the ability for new sellers to use the buyer pays max reduced shipping option, because there were too many new sellers who were not figuring out shipping before they started selling, and they just screwed it up royally and caused a lot of returns or cancellations. So the default settings when you have an account, open an account to sell, are that everything under a pound goes ground advantage. That's for everybody, no matter what. USPS ground advantage. Over a pound, from 1 to 5 pounds, the default setting is priority. And then 5 pounds and over, the default is ground advantage. For most new sellers, it's probably best to just keep it at that if you aren't sure what's going to work, because that just gives you the most flexibility with packaging, and it gives the buyers the best price overall based on weight. The important thing is to try and make sure that everything you're selling is sold at the correct weight, so that when it calculates how it bundles their items together, it gives them the most accurate weight. So if you have someone that comes in and buys one item and you're selling baby clothes, it's probably going to be under a pound. It's going to go ground advantage. So make sure you're selling it at that correct weight. And the weight does need to include the packaging. But if you're selling baby clothes and it can go in a poly mailer, it's still going to be under a pound, right? But then if they buy, let's say they buy 7 items, it's probably going to be between 1 and 5 pounds total together, and it will bundle it unless you put in some kind of custom profile to unbundle something. So then it will bundle it, and if you use a too high of a range for weight, it could possibly kick it over into the next range of weight, which is the over 5 pounds, and then it ends up being a little bit more than they should have had to pay for shipping. So just really make sure your weight is accurate as possible, and use custom profiles if you feel like the range, the default range weights that they put in there for listings are not accurate enough or close enough. Create some custom profiles so that the weight is going to be as accurate as possible. And then after you've read through that document and looked at it, you can also go to my YouTube channel, which is in the show notes. It's the second paragraph in my show notes where that little talking head is. That's my YouTube, Draz on Whatnot. And I have 3 different videos in there that are called Don't Sink Your Shipping. And you can go rewatch those. They are under the lives. So you go to my YouTube channel, type it in exactly that way, at Draz on Whatnot. Has my same logo that I use here on Whatnot. And find in the lives those 3 videos that are called Don't Sink Your Shipping. They have a little ship emoji as the first thing in the title. And then there's tons of sellers that do shipping videos. My only caution is make sure that when you watch any videos about shipping, that they're giving you advice based on what you sell. Because they may be giving you advice and there's someone who sells electronics or vintage or something. And if they're giving you shipping advice and not specifically talking about the type of items that they're talking about how to ship, don't watch that video because the advice they give may be totally different than what you should be doing based on what you sell. So just be careful about that. Taking shipping advice, make sure it makes sense for what you sell. That's why I put that document together to ask you questions about what you're selling so that it will make sense. Now, here's another thing that I want to say. So you just go to my YouTube channel, which is the second paragraph in the show notes. And my YouTube account is Draz on Whatnot, all one word. Type it in with the ampersand so that you can find it easier. It has my same logo, that little fun quilting sewing logo. And go to the lives. So when you're in the YouTube channel, go under live and you'll see all my videos because I multicast onto YouTube. So you kind of have to search through them and find the ones that are called Don't Sink Your Shipping. All right, so another thing about shipping is for the customers, from a buyer's perspective, you want to try and offer the lowest shipping you can. And if you're new and are not able to offer the reduced shipping, you still can try to use flat rate on both 1 to 5 pounds and 5 pounds and over if what you sell will mostly fit in flat rate packaging. But you need to understand flat rate packaging first before you figure that out. So flat rate is the most limited as far as size of packaging because you absolutely 100% have to use the post office packaging that is marked flat rate. You can't use other boxes or packages. It has to be the ones that are marked flat rate. So that limits you to about 5 different sizes of packaging. So not everybody sells stuff that will fit in those. But I was thinking baby clothes, probably you could get away with doing that because they're smaller. You can compact them, just fold them up, put them inside a plastic bag, suck the air out. They're going to fit in most flat rate packaging. And then that way, the most your customers will ever have to pay is the $9.21. And even though you won't show that you're offering reduced shipping, technically they are getting that flat rate. So, but you would have to put your 1 to 5 pounds and 5 pounds and over at flat rate and then tell them in the show notes that you have it set that way and that the most they're going to pay is $9.21. And then if you do happen to have a customer that buys more than will fit in a large flat rate box, then what you do is on the back end, you turn flat rate off and you put it in a bigger box or bag or whatever. And then you just change the dimensions and the weight and use one of your 5 weekly adjustments to send them that package ground advantage. So that would be my recommendation for you. The new packing slip format, yes. I liked their first version. You probably never saw it. And then they changed it again. It's better than it was, but the first version they had, I liked even better. But they decided it was a little bit too small of a print. But the first version they released, you could fit about 8 lines of orders before it flipped to a second page. I liked it better. They may still update it a little bit more. So, but yes, it's much more professional looking. It fits more lines. And yeah, we're excited about that change. So that's cool. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. When you list like the pictures, where do people get those cute pictures? Like your thumbnails or your product pictures? I'm not sure what you mean. So thumbnails, your shows, okay, your thumbnails. So people are creating those using AI on apps like Canva, CANVA, or ChatGPT, or there's a bunch of other software that you can use. I think Google even has one, and it's an image creator. So you just go in and type in what you're looking for, and it will create an image for you based on the parameters that you put in there. And it's a lot of fun. You can create some really cute stuff. I personally use Canva. I like theirs because you can tweak it. Because AI is never perfect. So you may tell it to say this or do this. And then what it comes up with is kind of weird and you have to kind of edit it. So yeah, Canva is what I use. They do have a free version. It's pretty limited. I pay for the one that I have just because I think it's worth it. Because I can create all kinds of thumbnails and images and use it. I use it a lot. So it's worth it to me. And it's not that expensive. I think the yearly subscription is like 35, $40 or something like that. So yeah. Any updates coming soon? So if you haven't bookmarked the show that's on the 4th of March, that's on the Whatnot Seller account, they're supposed to be telling us about some of the updates coming out. I'm hoping they're going to announce, a few more things. I haven't heard that they're going to specifically announce anything about other shipping carriers, but when they interviewed the CEO, he said that's definitely on the list of things they're exploring. So, just the things that I know I've beta tested, I don't think that's happening yet. So, yeah. Sierra says, I put my settings as 8 to 11 ounces and flat rate. Am I able to change it before my show to ground shipping? Yes. So whatever you use as your shipping settings, that is the default on your profile. If you want to change something in a specific show, you just open the show before you go live, edit show, and then navigate down to shipping. And then you can change the shipping within that exact specific show to be different than your normal default settings. And that's important. If you're going to do something different, in a specific show that you normally do, you want to change it in the exact show. Because if you change your shipping profile on your main, seller hub shipping, and then update it to all your shows, that will then be applicable to all your shows. But if you just go and open the show, so you like open it as if you're going to go live, but you don't go live, you're just going to edit. So you hit the little 3-dot hamburger menu, edit. Well, I guess that's not a hamburger menu. The 3 dots. You hit the 3 dots, edit show, scroll down to shipping, and then change your shipping settings right there in the show, and then make sure you save it. All right. Let me get back to this. Let's see. Yeah, Photo Room, Pick, Tap, Go are some other ones that Queenie is suggesting for thumbnails. So Morrow says, what happens when a buyer wins a bid on an item, but their payment is declined? Do you rerun the item so they can try again to buy the item? No, if their payment declines, you let them know. I mean, if they're going to get a notification, and just subtly say something like, hey, so and so, check your phone or check your payment for usually what it is a fraud alert from their bank, because a lot of banks, when someone's new on whatnot and they see someone doing all these weird little charges, they get fraud alerts. And so the person needs to go on their phone and clear the fraud alerts, and then it will go through. So if it goes through before the end of the show, then it's theirs. If they can't manage to get it to go through before the end of the show, then they just won't show up in your orders, and you can rerun that item another time. But you don't want to rerun it within the same show, because the possibility is that it will clear before the end of the show, and then you will have sold it twice. So you have to be careful about that. And it's a pain, because you think, well, but I could have sold it. Yeah, you could have. So you just got to, when you see that pop up that their payment declined, tell them to go check, and hopefully they can clear it before you end the show. Because as long as it clears before the end, it's theirs. But yeah, don't rerun stuff that didn't go through, because it could possibly go through and then you've sold it twice, and then you're going to have to cancel one of them. All right, timeless finds. What are best practices for printing bulk shipping labels? Printing bulk shipping labels. Well, you can download instead of printing them, individually as you process orders, you can download them and then print them on paper versus on shipping labels if you want. It just depends on what process works best for you. Honestly, it's not super friendly for people who sell high volume, because they don't have a good way to, like, I know some big sellers who are actually downloading it into a spreadsheet, sorting it, and then finding and matching up orders that way. And then, I don't know, it's just not the greatest, but they are working on improving it. The latest labels are a big improvement, because it fits more on one page and is a little bit bolder, and you can see the numbers. We're hoping they'll eliminate some more of the information that's not necessary, so they can fit even more per page. You're still doing one at a time. So on the sidebar menu, so there's a little thing on the far right on your screen that says open sidebar when you're in your shipping. I can't show you on here because I don't have a web version. But that open sidebar, and then scroll through everything that it shows you in that sidebar. And one of the options is to download. And you can download the shipping labels and print them on paper if you want to, versus printing them on the 4x6 thermal labels. And that way, yeah, so it's just on that open sidebar. And if you go into seller help and type in download shipping labels or something like that, it'll probably take you to an article that will help you find how to do it exactly. But yeah, I know a lot of sellers do that, and they print the packing ships on paper instead of on labels, because it saves them, having to try and fit everything on, because then you can usually send them a half sheet or just a sheet of paper versus 5 or 6, 4x6 thermal labels. So yeah. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? Twin River says, I sent you my prep for a show tip for your upcoming show. Forgot to ? Included several pics. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. So anyone that sends any of that kind of stuff, and I use it in that show, I will shout you out. So that'll be fun. You'll get a little shout out in my show on the 11th. And so what that is we're doing a show. It is our community support show. That's the topic of the month. And the topic of the month for March is show setup and production. And they want us to kind of share tips about what you can do for show setup and production to help people improve that process. And I was like, well, I can show what I do, but I would rather, show a little bit of what I do, but also share everybody else's tips of what they think has been the biggest thing that helped improve their process, and shout people out, because I want everyone to get a lot of different ideas, because everybody's setup and production is different based on your space, based on how you do your shows, based on, if you have help or not, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd rather be able to share a lot of different tips. So if you have something you would love to send me, just tell me, DM me on here and send me, what it is. So it could be equipment related. It could be how you set things up. It could be, a tip about lighting, or a tip about organization. And then you can also send pictures, and then just tell me in there if you're okay with me sharing what you do and or pictures. And if you are okay with me sharing, I'll shout you out in the show. So feel free to do that. I would love a bunch of different tips. Lucky Buys asks, am I going to the Seller Summit in Texas? Yes. So we will be in Austin on April 25th at the Seller Summit. So anyone that's going, it'll be fun. I'm excited to go. And I think they're going to have a lot of really good content. I'm excited about the opportunity to have a say, try to, voice our opinions about things. I hope they will have a lot of opportunities for us to give feedback. I think it's awesome that they're doing it. So Seller Summit, April 25th in Austin. Check your email. If you're too new, they won't have sent you an invitation. It was just going out for seasoned sellers, because the summit is going to be more about how to level up versus content for new sellers. So yeah. Let's see. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining. If you have questions, put them with a question mark. And that way I can see them. And please read the show notes and take any screenshots out of there and out of my auction tab of things that will be helpful to you. And let's see, let me go back to this. All right, let me talk about a couple of other things that are happening. So there's a couple of glitches, or I don't know if they're glitches, but things that are happening with like, things like when you raid, sometimes people are getting left behind. What are some of the other known big glitches right now? Anytime you see stuff like that, if you feel like it hasn't already been talked about, please report it. So you can send a message to me, you can send a message to customer service, because they are, because they are doing lots of updates and lots of things, they need to know about those glitches so they can fix them. So, how long do you have to be with Whatnot to go to the summit? I don't know that they had a set thing, but if you got an email invite, that means you are eligible. So check your email for an invite to go to that summit. If a buyer wins a giveaway, what do you do if you forget to include the giveaway prize in their order? I had this happen to me as a buyer. I mean, technically, they should have to send it to you. But I don't know. I mean, giveaways are free. If it was something pretty significant, just reach out. I would reach out to the seller first, give them a chance to make it right. Because maybe they just forgot, and then they should send it to you. If it was something free and you're like, whatever, it's up to you whether you want to press it or not. But yeah, they should have to send it to you. So, and if you had an order and they just forgot, it's probably, and if it wasn't a biggie, from a buyer's perspective, it's like, oh, bummer. But from a seller's perspective, it would be nice to not have to have the extra expense to send it if you forgot. But, you should at least let them know so that they have a chance to make it right. And, because you want to give them that chance, because you want to feel like they care about their customers instead of just deciding you're not going to shop with them anymore or something. You know what I mean? So, do I find that giveaways help increase your sales? Not necessarily. I use giveaways more as a way to build my following and as a way to help people in the show. Do they necessarily increase my sales? I mean, statistically, Whatnot has said that if someone wins a giveaway, there is a statistic about the percentage of time at which they will then buy something because they feel kind of obligated to buy something because they want a giveaway. So it does help convert some people into a sale. But I feel like the environment on Whatnot has kind of lended itself to a lot of people who come on just looking for giveaways. So I think you have to decide based on your experience and your category and how it works for you, what's going to work best. So I have chosen I do giveaways, but I do a limited number, and I try to focus them on my buyers. So I don't do any big fancy, expensive giveaways that would attract people who are only looking for giveaways, because I don't need them in my shows. I sell fabric and crafts. They're either going to want to buy fabric and craft stuff or they're not. And I don't want to give away some big, exciting, electronic something that's going to attract people who will never come back and buy from me. It makes no sense, because the type of stuff I sell is more niche and specific. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let's see. When capping your shipping to $9.21, is the rest of it left up to you for the free shipping? Well, yeah, if you have the ability to offer reduced shipping, so buyer pays max $9.21. If they buy too much and it won't fit in a large flat rate box, and you've used all of your free adjustments for the week, then yeah, if there's any extra shipping, then you will have to pay it. But if you do your shows in a way and you're strategic, you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, I haven't had to pay anyone shipping in so long, I don't remember. So, because I just know how to structure my shows. I know and I literally watch my orders, and sometimes I end a show because I'm getting to a point where there's 3 or 4 people that I'm like, okay, if I don't stop, I'm going to have to pay their shipping. And I know that seems silly, but you do have shows like that where you just have a couple of customers who are, for whatever reason, they're in a buying mood and they buy and buy and buy, and nobody else is buying much. And so then you're like, okay, if I don't stop soon, then I'm going to use all my adjustments in this show. So you have Whatnot gives you 5. Is adjustment the right word? I always use the wrong term. Is that the right term? Someone correct me if it's not. So you have, sometimes because I've been on here for so long, I use verbiage that everyone's like, what are you talking about? And I think, and I'm like, oh, wait, it's not called that anymore or whatever. But Whatnot gives you 5 free times where if you have to change on the back end how it's going to be shipped, the first 5 times it's free to you. You don't have to pay the extra shipping. After those 5 free ones are gone, then if there's any adjustments after that, you have to pay the extra shipping. And yes, I do the capped shipping on almost every show. I have a few shows where I do box full shows. In those shows, I don't do the max $9.21. In every other show, I do. Do you have to do that before the label is printed? Yes. So before the label is printed, if you have to unbundle or change the shipping from, like, say it was set for flat rate and you have to change it to Ground Advantage, then you turn flat rate off, toggle it off, and then change the dimensions and weight of the box that you're going to use instead. And then you just save it before you print the label. So when you're in the shipping screen, all the way to the right of every order is that little pencil. You click that, and then you go in and turn flat rate off or on or whatever you need, whatever change you need to make. And then you save it before you print the label. So yeah. Yep. All right, let me just make sure I didn't miss any other specific questions. All right. So yeah, just really make sure that, you kind of, a lot of sellers will curate a show to be more specific so that the shipping is going to make sense. So they might have a show where they're selling mostly smaller stuff or lighter weight stuff so that you can offer a reduced shipping. And then if you're selling larger, bulkier items, have a different show and you have your shipping settings set completely different in that show. And if you want to have different settings in a show, you open the show before you go live, you edit, and you go down to the shipping settings and change them to what they need to be for that show. Because otherwise, the shipping is defaulted to whatever is in your main profile shipping settings. So you have the ability to change the shipping settings in each individual show before you go live. Once you go live, whatever's in there is what you're going to have to be, what you're going to have to use on the back end. You can change it, if someone buys too much or you had it at the wrong weight or whatever, you can change it on the back end. It's just that you're either going to have to use some of your adjustments or pay the extra shipping if you screwed it up too much. And that's why they took the buyer pays max 921 or whatever away from new sellers, because too many new sellers were putting that in there and then selling too much stuff and then trying to send things in massive boxes that are outside of the size that you're supposed to be able to use. And then they were just canceling the orders or never sending them, or, all kinds of crap. And so it was creating a nightmare for Whatnot from a customer service perspective. Another important thing to note is that if you generate a label and then you realize it's not going to work, you can go in and regenerate a new label. It may charge you or use one of your adjustments if it's outside of what is allowed for that package, but you can regenerate a new label. It cancels the first one and regenerates a new one. So do that if you printed it and you realize it's not going to fit, or it's not the right way that it needs to go. How do I make a giveaway light weight shipping light? I am going to be giving away crochet rags, crochet coasters, eye masks, things that aren't costly. Well, so if it will fit in a flat paper envelope, you can use the envelope shipping. But I'm reading what you're saying. That is not going to still work in a flat paper envelope, because it has to be flat enough that it's less than 1/4 of an inch thick, and it can't be lumpy bumpy, because it won't go through their machines. Because paper envelopes are machined. They go through these special machines, and if it gets caught up in their machines, it gets rejected, and they charge extra shipping. So read this document. Let me get a document pinned for you. So envelope shipping. So just tap it again, make it bigger. And this gives you the instructions of how to set up paper envelope shipping. So I send embroidered patches, stickers, and what I call bookmark kits, which is a little paper instructions, 3 pieces of flat fabric, squares of fabric, and a piece of interfacing, and those can go in an envelope. Anything thicker than that, that's bumpy or stiff, not flexible, is not going to work in an envelope. The lowest price for a package is the same price that buyers pay, which is the the base rate. So there's not going to be anything cheaper than envelope in between. So this is your, I just pinned the commercial pricing. If you look at this list, the cheapest price you're ever going to get is $4.20. That's for anything between 1 and 4 ounces. So, because that's the base rate. So you're not going to get anything between, if it can't go in a paper envelope, you're going to have to pay a minimum of $4.21 to send a giveaway that can't go in an envelope. That makes sense? And it's based on region. So if you have a giveaway winner who lives in zone 9, that base rate is $4.85 versus $4.20. Okay. So yeah. So try to do giveaways that can go in a paper envelope. So if not, you are paying $4.20 to $4.85 per giveaway to ship it. If they buy something before they win the giveaway, it won't be as expensive because they've already paid some of the shipping. Sellers get 5 shipping adjustments a week, right? Yes. Sorry, want to make sure I remember that right. Yes, they do. That is correct. Do you use the package pickup service with the Postal Service? How do you schedule it? I don't use it because I don't like, because you never know when they're going to show up. Because it's basically, unless you have so many orders that it's a scheduled pickup from a separate truck. Otherwise, it's just your regular Postal Service delivery person who also grabs them. And I don't like stuff sitting out on my porch with the potential of it getting stolen. And, but if you're a huge seller, you just go on to the Postal Service website, you create an account, and you can, you just schedule them through the website. And since I've never done it, I don't know if they give you a set range time or not. But usually if you're a smaller seller, it's just combined with, when they drop your mail off, they also pick up your packages. And the other thing I don't like about it is, depending on where you are on their route, your packages don't actually get to the post office until they're done for the day. And so I prefer to take them to the post office, but I live close, so it works for me. Another thing you do need to know is that the in-app scanner, you need to be using that instead of the scan sheets or relying on the post office to scan your packages, because Whatnot is, they just recently updated that, and a lot of people are getting shocked by their scan time rate going way down because they weren't using the in-app scanner. So use it. Scan your packages before you take them to the post office or before they get picked up. It's the most accurate. It's what Whatnot is wanting you to do. So use the in-app scanner. So the way you use that is you can take them in and have them scanned at the desk and get a receipt, but they still want you to use the in-app scanner. So scan your packages before you leave the house. It takes seconds. It's not hard to do. It's just on your phone. You go to fulfillment. It pops up with the little yellow button for you to scan. You scan them all. You're just scanning the label, and it's just like blip, 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 blip. It's really sensitive. It's super fast. Just do it. And then your on-time scan rate will be much improved. And it shows a picture to your customers of, the fact that you scanned it. Now, here's the thing though. Don't scan it if you're not going to take it to the post office immediately. Scan it right before you go. Because that's the whole point of it is I'm scanning it and I'm heading there. Or you can even scan it in the parking lot, or I wouldn't do it in the lobby because that would be a pain. But yeah. So you just open the app on your phone, and let me show you where it's. I don't have any open orders right now, but you just go to Seller Hub. So Seller Hub, and then the hamburger menu and fulfillment. So fulfillment right there. And then if you have any open orders, it will have a yellow bar that will say, start scanning. So Seller Hub, fulfillment. And then that's where it will pop that up for you to start scanning the orders. Okay. You're welcome. And then the scanning, for the post office that the post office does is what then starts generating the tracking. And you have no control of it after that point. But if you've got proof that you scanned it and dropped it off, then, at least there's that. But do drop it off almost immediately. So scan right before you're dropping it off. Don't scan it, wait a day, because then it will be obvious that you didn't drop it off. So the idea is that you're supposed to scan it right before, then it gets dropped off. The customer knows you've, packaged it up and sent it off. Welcome in. Hey, Sassamom, how are you today? Good morning. All right. Any other questions that you want to talk about? But yeah, if you noticed your scan rate in your account health have a lower percentage, that's why, because they've updated it so that they want everybody to use that in-app scanner, so that everybody's doing that, and it's just show it's good customer service to show, because it takes a picture of the package and the person knows that it's been packaged up, has the label on it, and you're dropping it off. So they want you to use that, and that will give you the best accuracy and keep your account, showing that you're doing your fulfillment correctly. You can still, if you want to, take it into the post office and have the postmaster scan it, but that's a different scan. That's the official post office acceptance scan. But here's another thing you need to know. If the post office that you use is not the last stop in your state, because your post office is a branch, because every state or region has a regional warehouse, and that is the scan, the tracking scan that actually starts the tracking. So even if you get it scanned at the post office, that's just the initial, it's been received. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to start the tracking until it gets to your regional track center for your region or state. So you still have to have it, you still have to be like, okay, let's hope they actually get it all scanned, right? Oh, we just got a raid. Creative Curiosities. Thank you so much for that raid. Everybody give Creative Curiosities a follow. Kelly, right there, is an awesome creative seller who does a lot of stuff with mixed media, junk journals, handmade decor. And her next show is scheduled for the 28th. Build a Journal Raid Train. Can everybody give her a follow and bookmark upcoming shows? Thank you so much for that raid. Appreciate that. This is my seller chat. So if you are a seller, please stick around for a minute. We're just chatting. And please read the show notes. If you have any questions, things you need help with, please feel free to shout them out. And go through my auction tab if you need help with different things. There's all kinds of documents in there about different topics. And the show notes have 6 start bullets of very specific links to information for you to get help on Whatnot and on some of the other, so Whatnot has a YouTube account. That's the second start bullet. So you can go to the Whatnot YouTube account and rewatch the videos that are content for new sellers or interviews that they've conducted on here. Yes, I multicast on YouTube. So you can go to my YouTube channel and rewatch this show. So it usually downloads within a day. Sometimes if YouTube is being glitchy, it takes a little bit longer, but it should be there, by tomorrow morning, fully downloaded. And I'm live on there right now. So, because I multicast onto both Facebook and YouTube, so that you can rewatch them on YouTube. We used to have the ability on Whatnot for people to rewatch past shows, but they took that away because it was just too much bandwidth, too much trouble to store all of that. And so when they took that away, I started multicasting onto YouTube so that you would be able to watch past shows there. And it does broadcast both my seller chats and my other shows. I go in every once in a while and delete some of the regular shows so that most of the content is just my seller chats. But it's also good advertising for your regular shows. If you want to multicast onto social media, it can help you get more followers and more customers. So on a pretty regular basis, I have people join Whatnot who clicked the link in one of my lives on either Facebook or YouTube, and they join the platform, and then I get credit for inviting them to join the platform, and they get that free $15 credit and I get $5, and it's like woohoo. So you don't see chat history on the multicast. It's just the audio video. There's no way to see the chat unless you do what is called a screen record. So if you want to screen record a show on your phone, then you can do that. On iPhone, it is on the same menu as your flashlight. You do the little right swipe, and it's a little round, like camera lens looking thing. And you can screen record a show, and then you would be able to see the chat because it's recording it on your phone. But that's the only way to actually see chat. And that would take up a lot of storage on your phone if you screen recorded every show. But yeah. You yourself can watch your own past shows on your own account. Just go to Seller Hub shows, past shows, and you can watch it. But again, the chat is not there. It's just the audio and video. Let's see. Is there a YouTube video to show you how to add a link to your YouTube? It's called Multicast. So look it up in help.whatnot.com. Just type in the word multicast. But yes, there are some videos out there too to help you do it. Probably the best one is D-Archivist. She's a Whatnot seller, and she's really techie. Let me tag her in chat. So go follow her and follow her on YouTube as well. She has a lot of content on YouTube for the techie type stuff, like multicasting, like using OBS, some other stuff like that. I'm not as tech savvy as she is, so she explains it better. So, but yeah, but you can also just look it up here on Whatnot. They have a pretty good little tutorial on here with including a video of how to set up the multicast. It's really not that difficult, but you do have to have a certain number of subscribers on the platform in order for it to allow you to multicast. So on YouTube, you have to have at least, I think it's 50 subscribers before it will allow you to multicast. On Facebook, I can't remember what the number is. I think it's a little bit higher, like 100 or something maybe. So I do lives on Facebook, have been for years. So I can link this. Yes, you can. So right before you go live on a show, let me just show you really quick. So if I open my show that I'm doing later today, okay, so this is my show for today. If I open it and I click start show, okay, before you actually go live, there's a thing down there to edit streaming options. See that? And see how I already have Facebook and YouTube linked? See how it says it's active? All right, so you just click that edit streaming options and you can get it set up in there. I don't know why it's a little bit glitchy sometimes. It depends on how it's set up on your device. So, but that's how you do it. You just do that before you hit go live. Yeah, you should be good because you have over 1,000. And Dory, you should be good because you've already been doing it. So you definitely have plenty of subscribers. The thing with going live on other platforms is if you actually want to interact with them, you would want to have multiple devices have one open to the live on Facebook. Otherwise, it's just live, but you're not really interacting with them. So, just know that because I have it multicasting and I'm live there, but I don't interact with the Facebook people because I can't. There's no way I can do both. And so it does have a QR code that tells them that if they want to actually bid and join the live, they have to click that QR code and then it will bring them to Whatnot. And if they aren't already a customer, it will help them sign up. So, yeah. If you have a different name, I don't think that's necessarily a specific issue with linking it. It just might be confusing. So I have all my social media set to the same name so that it's seamless. But yeah, I don't think it's an issue as far as being able to do it. It just might be confusing to people because your Whatnot username is different than your social media account. There's no set follower for Whatnot. The rule is only on the other side. So you can have 0 followers on Whatnot and still set up a multicast to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Those are the 3 options. But Facebook and YouTube, and I don't know about Twitch because I don't use it, have a minimum requirement for subscribers before they'll allow you to multicast. Oh, did we get another raid? Oh, you're just still announcing Creative Curiosities. I was like, wait. All right, so yeah, that's what you can do. And I do think it helps you grow your business, because if you have a lot of followers on social media that haven't necessarily found you on Whatnot, you can convert a lot of those people and bring them over. Why not? You know, definitely worth checking out if you have, if most of your following is just family, friends, it still doesn't hurt, but it may not be super effective in bringing you more people. So you just have to decide, and maybe the answer is you need to set up a new account that is specific to your business, and it just helps you grow your following in both places. That makes sense. So in your area, Whatnot is not known. So it might help you a lot to go ahead and multicast on Facebook, because then you will start getting your name out there locally linked with Whatnot and bring in some customers. So definitely worth looking into. So again, you can just go to help.whatnot.com or frequently asked questions and type in multicasting, and it will bring up an article. It gives you all the information about what platforms, how to set it up. It links to a little video. And if you don't find that one informative enough, because it is kind of generic to the mass audience, go watch D-Archivist's video on YouTube about how to set up your multicast, because there are some little glitches that you have to do, sometimes work through to get it to connect. So yeah, it saves the replay for others to watch later on YouTube. Facebook, it goes live, and then it does show that live for a certain amount of time, but Facebook works differently, so it's not like saved in a menu where they can find it again later. So that's why I like YouTube better for that purpose. But I like Facebook for the more immediate, because I actually get more people joining Whatnot through the Facebook link, but I get more people who like to go rewatch my seller chats who can go use it on YouTube. I don't get a lot of live joiners through YouTube, because I'm just not, I don't know, YouTube works differently. I don't have thousands and hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube to make it effective enough for that purpose, because I'm not an active YouTuber. But I do get people who come on to Facebook and see my lives and then join Whatnot. So, they work differently. And you can have other social media, and I encourage you to also use other social media. But right now, the only three that you can multicast to are Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So they don't have a multicast link set up for, like, say, TikTok or Instagram or I don't know, what are some of the other ones that you could possibly go live on. Do I get a lot of referral buyers through Facebook? Not tons, but enough that it's worth it. I'm not going to turn down, $5 for everybody who joins Whatnot through my link. So, but I didn't have a huge social media presence before I started selling on Whatnot. So it's not like, some people who, like, say, a Harry Tornado or something, who had a huge YouTube following before, and he can go live on YouTube, and he might get hundreds of people, joining through YouTube, because he's popular enough that people will just see it. So if you're in that situation, you're sitting pretty, and I think there's probably some sellers like that can go live on a platform, multicast, and get a lot of people joining through their link and make a lot of Whatnot credits and get a lot of free money. It's a good deal, right? I'm not that lucky. So, yeah. but enough that it's definitely worth doing. And usually they join, the people that do join through my link do convert to customers because they follow me, because they have interest in my content, because they're fabric craft people. Does that make sense? So it's not just the benefit of getting that credit, it's that I'm also getting new customers. So yeah, that helps. All right. I need to get going here pretty quick. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other specific questions. But if you have some questions before I take off, spill them. Otherwise, I'll get ready to wrap it up and go find someone that we can raid. You are so welcome. Hey, Endless Treasures, Jenny. And please bookmark my upcoming shows. If you find these shows helpful, I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday morning on my treadmill, walking and chatting with you guys. And then at least once a month, we do a in-person, in front of the camera seller chat. And my next one is on the 11th of March. Make sure you have that one bookmarked. And again, if you have any tips that you would love for me to share, we're talking about show setup, show production. And I would love for anyone who wants to send me your favorite tip or your best tip of something that you do in your production setup, or show setup that has made a big difference for you. And I will share your tip and or pictures if you send a picture, and shout you out in that show. So I would love for some of you to send me that. And I'm going to also send out an request for that to some of our sellers as well. So I would love for you to share anything that you think is, something you would love to have other people know about, because I want to share what helps you in your setup and production, not just me, because everybody has different needs, different setups, different, things that they can or can't do depending on how you run your shows. So I don't want to just show what I do, because maybe what I do doesn't work for a lot of people. So I want to share a bunch of different tips and ideas and shout people out and kind of make it a fun show where we can just get a lot of good ideas for people. So Boca Bell says, I have a beautiful bundle of vintage paper dolls, all wrapped and labeled. Should I try to sell this? Yeah, absolutely. I would probably put it under ephemera. Put it under the category of ephemera because it's vintage paper. And the people who do, ephemera junk journal, they're going to love that. So definitely put it under ephemera. Yep. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. And like I said, if you want to participate in that tips for the production and setup, just message me here with your favorite tip. Send pictures if applicable, and then tell me if you are okay with me sharing it and shouting you out. And let's go find someone to raid. And you guys all have a marvelous day. Let's go raid into, let's see. Do I know what she does? I remember. Let's go right into another community show. I don't know for sure if I've been into her show before, so don't hate me if it's not fabulous, but she's doing a community show and we're going to select her. She has 155 people in there. Let's go see what it is. Trisha 529. Thanks, everyone. Make it a wonderful day. Oh, wait, she's doing Snow White and the Poisoned Apple. Why is it under community? Okay, wait. Maybe we're not going to go there. I was thinking it was a community like seller chat. So I don't know. Let's not do that. I wish that people wouldn't use community category for things that are not community. That's kind of weird to me. Let's see. Visuals. Let me see what that one is. That did not come up. Interesting. Okay, now that. All right, that one's weird. It's not coming up at all. Okay. Maybe we're just going to raid into a fabric show. Or something else. They have news sellers. Let's see if we can do a news seller. Let's try a news seller. How's that? Here we go.